an international team of researchers are focused on the Gulf of Mexico.
There we go.
These are some of their stories, intimate portraits of research, innovation, discovery. I'm Matt Damon. Please join me on a journey marked by unexpected twists and turns.
Located just a few miles north of San Diego, the Scripps Institution of Oceanography is one of the most important centers for ocean, earth, and atmospheric research in the world. This is also where oceanographers Kait, Fraiser, and John Hildebrand study the impact of the Deepwater Horizon Oil Spill on dolphins and whales.
I do dolphin bioacoustics, so basically figuring out what we can learn about dolphins from the sounds that they make in the wild. The first time I was interested in marine biology was we went to the Monterey Bay Aquarium and I saw the sea otters there. I was really into those. And then I went to Oregon State to become a vet and got into marine biology that way. I did some research at the aquarium and I came to Scripps to do more research, and I found this whale acoustics lab and fell in love with the work they do and the people here, so I've been here ever since.
I'm a baby boomer and I grew up in the 60s, and I remember my middle school counselor asking me what I wanted to do when I grew up, and I told him there were two things that really appealed to me. I either wanted to be an astronaut or an oceanographer. They both have elements of exploration. You know, there's something that is unknown out there that you want to discover. And by studying marine mammals with sound, you're observing their behavior when they're submerged, when they're not accessible to being viewed at the surface of the ocean. So it just opened up an entire new world of study, and it really had also to do with the fact that the technology was available, and so we can leave sensors out for a year or more.
Kait Fraiser and John Hildebrand's research then took a dramatic turn in the days following the Deepwater Horizon oil spill.
I'd never worked in the Gulf of Mexico. And so, as you remember, day after day, the papers told the story about more and more oil flowing into the Gulf of Mexico. And after a week or so of the spill continuing, I realized that I needed to take the expertise that I developed in other areas, like just offshore here, and as quickly as possible, move it to the Gulf of Mexico so that I could contribute to the response to the spill.
When I was just finishing my first year of grad school, it was 2010, and that was when the oil spill happened that spring. And so John kind of rushed up to me and said, I need somebody to do dolphins in the Gulf of Mexico. So that's how I got involved.
It was an earlier oil spill disaster in 1989 that first provided clues to the environmental impact of Deepwater Horizon.
It's being called the worst oil spill ever in Alaska. The supertanker Exxon Valdez, loaded with nearly 53 million gallons of oil, ran aground.
One of America's most magnificent waterways is blackened and befouled tonight by the biggest oil spill in American history.
There are two phases that we might expect to see of response to the oil spill. And this was seen in the Exxon Valdez spill. There's an initial period where you might expect animals to die because of the direct oil impacts. And then over a longer period of time, you might expect chronic impacts to cause gradual population declines. We're looking for both of those signals, but you need a very long time series to see that with marine mammals because they're top predators and it takes a long time for impacts to work their way up the food chain.
I think it's really important to get a long time series to get a sense of the changes that are happening to the populations, not just related to the spill, but other changes in the environment.
So now we have years of data that we've collected in the Gulf of Mexico since the oil spill. And I'm still trying to process all of that and figure out what happened in the years after the spill. It's a really collaborative process, especially in marine research. It takes a village to really make it happen. You need boats and cruise directors, and everybody has to kind of come together and go out to sea together, and you can't do it one person at a time.
There are people who study, the physical oceanography, the currents. There are people who study the oil and then what was the fate of the oil. There are people who study the lower trophic levels, phytoplankton and zooplankton. People who study fish. And then, Kait and I working on marine mammals. And so I find the GoMRI collaboration very beneficial, especially people who have a long-term perspective on the Gulf of Mexico.
Today, the scientific community is working together to push the boundaries of what they've learned about oil spills and what still needs to be discovered.